Hi, I'm Lindsay. I'm a PR consultant from Scotland. I help my clients get featured in the media, get interviewed on podcasts, and speak on stages. When I'm not working, I'm usually out wandering the streets, walking. It's cold in Scotland, so I quite often wear my dressing gown over my clothes and enjoy having my dad's homemade soup. And I am going to share with you my time-saving hacks as a busy PR. Hello, how are we doing? It is Monday again. I have honestly been cold all day so far, and it is about 4 o'clock, just after 4 o'clock, and I've not managed to get warm today because it's so cold and so windy and rainy outside. Anyway, don't want to talk about the weather all the time because that is just obviously something that us Brits do a lot. Anyway, so far it's been a busy day. I've had many calls, well, 3 calls, but they've all been quite long calls, all been good calls though. And I have written a blog for a client, written a press release for a client, gone backwards and forwards on various podcast arrangements over the next few weeks for different clients. I have pitched out for one client to some media, been backwards and forwards on voice note with clients for different things. So yeah, it's been really, really busy as a start to the week, but had a nice restful weekend, so I actually felt very refreshed, and I think that's quite important when you're a business owner and when you have a lot going on. You're in like a heavy work phase, if you like, that actually you've got these times where you can just like depressurize, if you want to call it that. And for Saturday and Sunday, yes, I still think about work sometimes, of course, and people still send me things and I see them, but I sort of just park it, and unless it's something urgent, then I'll deal with it on a weekend. But this weekend it was very much just switching off, being with family, having like 2 full days of just really focusing on not doing work. And I'm quite like, sometimes I will do work on like a Sunday evening just to get myself a head start for the week, but recently I've been really trying to protect that time and looking forward to my Sunday evening actually. And I've got this like daft wee ritual where I just take like this spare duvet that I've got and bring the duvet to the sofa, and just like that's like a little bit of a Sunday night treat, and just properly have a few hours on the sofa watching TV, or YouTube or whatever it is that I want to watch. But yeah, basically it's so important to rest is what I'm saying, and actually that ties in quite well with what I'm going to be talking about on this week's video, because I'm going to talk about like how I manage and protect my time, because protecting your time is actually one of the hardest things. Managing your time is one thing, protecting your time is a hugely important skill, and I'm going to talk about how I sort of manage and protect my time as a busy PR consultant. And I'm not saying I've got it all figured out, far from it, but there are definitely some things that help me that I can share with you, and hopefully they'll help you too. Right, so I'm busy, we're all busy, I'm sure you're busy in your job and life and career as well, and there's certain things that I've sort of learned over the years that help me like A, manage, and B, protect my time, which is super, super important, because otherwise you just end up getting really annoyed and really resentful and really stressed. And I've been all of those things, and I'm not saying I've got it all figured out. Like, I definitely could implement more like technology. I could probably still make a few changes to how I do things, but the things that I'm going to share now, and I think there's about 6 or 7, have massively helped me, and they'll help you potentially regardless of your business, your career, and all that sort of things as well. So I'm just going to fly through them, and hopefully you'll resonate with some of them. Hopefully you'll see how they could potentially help you, because they truly, truly have helped me. And they're just little things, but sometimes it's just the little things that can really like make a difference for you and move the needle and just almost be life-changing in a subtle way, but a really important way. So, number 1, lists. To-do lists are my holy grail. I have for years and years and years, decades, had a to-do list when it comes to work stuff every single day. And the way that I do it actually, and I'll show you my diary in a separate screen, I basically still use pen and paper. When it comes to like my online calendar, I have meetings and everything that go in there, but when it comes to my to-do list, I still write down what needs to be done and I score it out when it's done. And honestly, I am yet to find a more effective and simple way. I know you can get, all these platforms where you put things into columns and then once they're done, you move them along and stuff like that. And honestly, for me, that just takes up more time than just literally writing down a couple of words to remind me what to do, doing the thing, scoring it out when it's done. Literally the easiest, most simple, quickest way to do it in my book. So what I do is, if there's something that needs to happen on a certain day, then I'll work back and I'll put it in. So it's not that I do the list the day before. The list tends to build up, and some of my to-do list will be added in advance. Some of it will be added the day before. A couple of things sometimes will be added on the day, just to make sure, like if there's somebody that I need to reply to that day, or if there's something like a deadline for a press comment or something that needs to be done that day, then it will get added to the list just to make sure that I do not forget it. My go-to sort of default is to literally write everything down, and on the very, very rare occasion that I don't, I'll miss something or I'll forget something. And so it's tried and tested. I write it down in the moment when I know I've got to do it, or when I know I've got to make a note of it. And if that is, if I'm not with my paper diary, then I literally just make a note in my phone. And then when I get home the next time, I look at what I've noted in my phone and make sure I transfer it into my diary. So lists. And the way that they save you time is because you're not coming to your day wondering, what have I got to do today? And you're not taking that like time in the morning to say, right, I wonder what I need to do. What do I need to get through? What's urgent? What's not? It's literally all there written for you, and you just work your way through it until it's done. And I am very much, if you say you're going to do it, you get it done type person. So 99% of the time, if something is on my list for a certain day, it will get done that day. And it's just a way of just me keeping promises to myself, me delivering for clients. It's really, really important. So number one is writing to-do lists. The second thing is, I know people talk about it a lot, but saying no. And this is really important when you're busy because, gosh, how many things can take up our time? And, I'm part of business communities. I've got friends, I've got, business associates. And to be honest, I could be out several times a week at events, having brunch, having lunch, coffee meetings. But the hours that it takes me to do that are just purely taken away from me having the time to do what I need to do for my clients. And, there's people that I see who turn up to all these different events around here. And I think, when are they actually doing the work to move their business forward, or the work for their clients? Because to me, I can't do both. And once you realise that you have to decide how you want to spend your time, and you have to try and choose the way to spend your time that will lead you towards your goal, basically. Once you realise that, it just becomes so much easier, because you can say to yourself, look, is this going to help me achieve my goal? And if the answer is no, then you just have to say you can't do it, or make a rule for yourself. Like for me, I've kind of got this rule that I'll do like a max of like one coffee meeting or one brunch a week, and some weeks I do none, because the time it takes me to get to wherever we're meeting for brunch, have the brunch, and then get home. And don't get me wrong, I love the brunch and I love the social element of it, but it puts me in a difficult position to get my work done. And so, yeah, have little rules for yourself that can help you. And remember, like, it's important to know that your time choices actually, like, reflect your priorities and your goals. So if you're choosing to meet people for brunch or go to like networking events, yes, they have a place, and I'm not saying they don't, but if you're doing that over move the needle work for you or your clients, then your priority is the networking events. It's not delivering for your clients. So look at your calendar, look at how much you're spending your time on what things, and see, are those things actually in line with what you want? Because if they're not, then why are you spending so much time on them? And it sounds harsh, but it's so true. Okay, the next thing is something that I've learned over the years from being in the corporate world as well, is basically short meetings. Meetings need to be short and sweet. Nowadays, if I can do a call in half an hour, over an hour, I'll do that 100 times out of 100. I used to do hour-long intro calls. Now I do half an hour max. Where you don't need a meeting, don't have a meeting. I honestly just think meetings are the biggest time drain. And in the corporate job that I had, I was quite fortunate because it wasn't a bureaucratic job. It wasn't filled with meeting after meeting after meeting. It was literally like, let's get this meeting done. Let's figure out what needs to happen after it, and let's go away and do the thing that we need to do. And that's very much how I approach my diary as well. I don't have meetings with my clients very often. I update them via WhatsApp, voice note or message or email. We don't have meetings. Maybe every 2 or 3 months we'll check in and have a bit of a catch-up call, which again would literally just be 20 minutes to 30 minutes long, throwing around some ideas, having a little catch-up, and that would be it. So keep your meetings and your calls short. If you're just ringing someone, or if someone rings you, this is the worst. If someone rings you and you know that they are someone who like to talk, make sure you tell them, I've got 10 minutes, I've got 15 minutes, so they know from the outset, and stick to it. And if you're calling someone for a business reason, don't get caught up chatting to them for 45 minutes. Get the business done and move on. So I think a lot of people go, oh, I'm so busy. And then if they look back, they would realise they were on the phone for like an hour several times that day, when the phone call could have been done in 10 minutes, or maybe even it could have actually been like a voice note or something. So the next thing I do is I don't do this like really, really detailed, but I almost like instinctively plan like when to fit things in at a time that they'll suit best. So for example, when I know I'm going to be here at my laptop, there's certain things in the day that I would want to get done then that I need access to my laptop for, but there might also be a ton of things that I need to do that might be like social media, that might be messaging people back, even sending back emails, or looking things up. I can do that, for example, when I'm doing the school run. So usually when I'm doing the school run, I get there early because parking chaos and all that at the school. And then I will carry on with my work for a good sort of 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And I kind of like subconsciously think, well, I'll do that. I'll leave that person a voice note, or I'll go through all my voice notes, or I will write my list of, people that I'm like an ideas list for a client or something for people to pitch to. And just really think, like, how can I use that time? Which tools will I have, and how can I best use the time? So try and just fit things in at a suitable time to make your life a bit easier. And I guess another time-saving sort of hack for me is realising that good enough is good enough. If you're a bit of a perfectionist like me, or a bit of a control freak like me, it can be easy to like spend a lot of time on certain things. And again, just to be clear, if it's, if I'm pitching to podcasts, email, if I'm writing a press release, yes, I do pay a lot of attention to detail on that, because that's just what it needs. It needs to be right when it goes out. However, there's other things where I will say, okay, good enough is good enough. I've got across the things that I wanted to get across. Maybe writing a proposal, maybe recording a video, maybe like coming up with some social posts and ideas. Good enough is good enough, because when you are pressed for time, you're just going to put yourself under more pressure if you keep revisiting things to make them that tiny, tiny, tiny bit better when actually they would have been fine to go out in the first place. So learning that has been a really, really important time saver for me, because now I just draw a line under it. I say, I've got across what I want to get across. I've included what I want to include in that. The line is drawn and I'm moving on to the next thing, instead of wasting time going back and back and back and back, when actually it wouldn't make that much of a difference anyway if I changed a few words here or added a line in there. So good enough is good enough. And then I guess finally, just a little trick that I use for myself. It's easy to get distracted, right? So a trick that I use is basically incentivizing myself. So at times when I feel like, especially because I work from home a lot, if I feel like my mind is drifting a little bit, then I will sort of give myself a little incentive. So I'll say, well, let's get this task done, and then you can, whatever, go and make that coffee that that you're looking forward to, or watch that YouTube video, while you're having your lunch or whatever it is. It's like just giving yourself these mini rewards along the way, so it doesn't feel like such a slog, and it just focuses the mind, because then I'm like, okay, I want that thing, I want to go and get that coffee, I will just get this done, and I'll get it done in a focused way, because I want the result at the end of it. So rewarding yourself, giving yourself little incentives. It might be, for me, something like I'm going to go out a walk as well. I'm going to get through like these 3 things on my list, and then I'm going to go out a walk, especially if it's sunny. I'm going to go and get like half an hour of fresh air, and then I'll come back and I'll do the next 3 things on the list, and then I'll have my lunch or whatever. Do you know? So it's just like, don't be afraid to reward yourself. You don't have to sit in the misery and, force yourself to like keep coming back to things. Instead, use the carrot. Do you know what I mean? Don't get mad at yourself. Actually think, well, what would incentivize me here? And that really worked for me as well. So I do it, like all of these things, even though I work in PR, all of these things are relevant for whatever business you work in, whatever, job you do maybe. It's just about finding what works for you. And these are all just little things that I've figured out for the last, few years. So yeah, hopefully they help. Right. Friday afternoon, I am going to go outside soon because it is so nice out there. I don't know if you can see blue sky. Yeah, it's lovely afternoon out there. So yeah, I'm going to go and I'm going to actually edit this YouTube video outside, hopefully, for a little while and get some fresh air. And obviously just keep an eye on emails and everything like that. I started work pretty early this morning. I've got through everything on my list, and there's a few things that I need to sign up for. Yeah, there's always just new things that you need to do as a business owner. So now we've got like changes to tax and stuff like that. So I need to sign up to an accounting platform. So yeah, I'm going to try and get that done this afternoon. But it's been a great week. Honestly, it's such a good week. And I've had conversations with people who are absolutely at the top of their game. One of them basically just signed up to like have me as his PR on the spot. He messaged me last week on Instagram. We had a call on Tuesday, I think it was, and he literally said on the call, right, let's just get going. So I'm starting with him next week. I love action takers like that, and obviously it kind of shows you why he's got to where he's got to in business. I had another couple of chats with people who are very different, but who are just experts in their field, and these are exactly the type of people that I want to work with, because they're so credible that it gives me a bit of a head start straight away. And obviously we want to build their credibility, we want to build their profile, but it's just a great foundation to start from. So I'm excited. I've sent out a couple more proposals, but I can't necessarily start right away because, yeah, things are still quite busy. And so, yeah, we're just going to have to see how that pans out. But, I think sometimes you just have to figure it out, don't you? Like if opportunities come your way, and I'm not saying all these will all work out, but you have to kind of think, do I want to do it? And if the answer is yes, you need to just figure out how you're going to do it. So obviously this video was about time, and how I manage my time, but I don't want anyone to think that I've got it all figured out. Like I'm still like in the messy part of trying to figure out what is the best support that I need. I thought I had figured it out, and now I've kind of backtracked a little bit. So I suppose I've been so busy this week that I've just been kind of letting my subconscious work on it. You know, when you don't really have time to sit down and work through everything. So you're kind of just like hoping it'll come to you in a dream, basically. So yeah, I'm still very much, like I said, in the mess and the chaos in a way. But, you know, I feel like it's like under control enough. But like moving forward, I need to just get a bit more help and a bit more of a system in place. So I've taken some steps towards that, but I'm not quite there yet. And yeah, we've had some really nice wins this week for clients. So I put a press release out for a charity. Got some nice coverage on that. I put a press release out for a finance company that I work with about an acquisition that they've made. I had some great news for a client who is going to be speaking at Ideas Fest, which is like a big entrepreneurial festival in the UK later in the year. And to be honest, I probably tried for about 2 years to get him into that festival. And last year we got so close, but then he wasn't actually available in the end. So yeah, I'm really, really pleased that we've actually got there, because it has taken a lot of nudging on my part and a lot of pestering. And yeah, things are just looking quite good for some clients. I mean, I've still got a few problem areas. I am trying to get some like fairly hefty media coverage for a client who's launching an app soon, and it's just been a bit sticky. It's not quite happened yet, so we're trying lots of different options for that. Just the way it goes, but overall I'm very happy with this week. I'm looking forward to the weekend. Got lots of social things lined up, a couple of lunches and that sort of thing. So yeah, I do think the busier you are during the week, you do need those rest days. You need that headspace away from work, a bit of a distraction. I mean, I'm terrible because I will still potter with things and I'll make notes to myself when I have ideas, but that's fine, you know, because the ideas come when you're doing something different, when your head is, your mind is relaxed and you've just got a bit more creative flow around you. So yeah, looking forward to a couple of days of doing something different, and then we'll be back at it next week, and I shall see you then.